Welcome to the deep dive. Our mission here is pretty straightforward. Cut through all the noise, pull out the key nuggets from different sources, and basically help you get up to speed fast on important topics. And today we're tackling something that's, well, it's both fascinating and honestly a bit unnerving. We're talking about the Great Decoupling and this whole idea of post-labor economics. Our source material for this one is based on a recorded chat with David Shapiro discussing his book, The Great Decoupling.
Yeah, and Shapiro's take on post-labor economics is really interesting. He frames it as this fundamental split, this decoupling of economic productivity from human labor input.
Okay, so what does that actually mean, like in simple terms?
Well, think of it this way. The GDP, right? The total value of everything produced, that can keep going up. And this is the paradox, wages for actual human work might flatten out or even go down.
Huh. That seems wrong somehow.
It's definitely counterintuitive. And it's not like brand new. We've apparently seen hints of this trend going back to the 1950s.
The 50s.
Yeah, but what's really shifted, what makes now different, is just how fast it's speeding up. It's almost exponential. And that acceleration, it's overwhelmingly driven by, you guessed it, automation and AI.
Right. And Shapiro's work, it seems to zero in on these two huge questions that, they do keep me up at night a bit.
Really?
First is, okay, if a big chunk of jobs just disappear because of automation, and he says even if it's not 100%, maybe just 40% of tasks within jobs, how do we actually survive as a society? You know, financially, structurally.
That's a big one. And the second?
The second is about social balance. If labor, human work, loses its traditional role, its weight in the social contract, how do we keep things stable? What holds things together then?
Foundational questions.
Exactly. So that leads to the really big question Shapiro asks. Why is this time different? We've had industrial revolutions before, right? Steam engines, factories. Why is this AI revolution supposedly a different beast? What's the fundamental shift here?
Well, connecting it to the bigger picture, Shapiro argues this time is fundamentally different because we're moving into an era of, he calls it cognitive hyperabundance.
Cognitive hyperabundance. Okay, unpack that a bit.
It essentially means that intelligence itself, cognitive ability, is becoming incredibly cheap, almost too cheap to meter, like electricity was eventually.
Oh, okay. Like when electricity became widely available, it just changed everything, every industry.
Precisely. And Shapiro's saying AI is poised to do the same thing for thinking, for cognitive capacity. So what does that mean for, say, decision-making or innovation or even creativity when that kind of mental bottleneck is just gone?
That's where it gets really wild, yeah. So if the old automation was mostly about replacing physical labor, muscles, basically, what are some of the maybe surprising examples Shapiro gives where AI is now automating this cognitive work you mentioned? What does that actually look like?
Oh, it's already happening in ways we might not fully realize. He points to things like AI chatbots that people are actually trusting for medical advice.
Wow, okay.
And it's the same core technology being used for writing code, for consulting work, architectural design, even like writing novels or reports.
Stuff we really thought was uniquely human, right? Complex thought, judgment, creativity.
Exactly those things. And AI is doing it faster, more efficiently, and at a massive scale across so many different fields already.
That definitely makes you question that whole historical pattern of creative destruction, doesn't it? You know, the classic idea, technology kills some jobs, like farming jobs shifted to factory jobs. Later, we got things like cloud engineers. But the assumption was always that tech creates more jobs than it destroys, just different kinds of jobs.
Exactly that assumption. And Shapiro really digs into this. He shows how, past revolutions were disruptive, definitely. But they usually led to whole new categories of work that could absorb the people who were displaced. Think about the car replacing the horse and buggy. Blacksmiths lost out, sure, but then you needed mechanics, factory workers, people to build roads, drive trucks.
Right, a whole new ecosystem grew up around it. So given that history, what's Shapiro's core argument for why this time is different? What data or logic makes him think that creative destruction cycle might actually break or at least change dramatically?
His argument hinges on the unique nature of modern AI. It's the sheer scale, the incredible speed of development, and its versatility, particularly its ability to automate cognitive tasks, not just physical ones, and to do it across pretty much all sectors simultaneously. That's the key difference.
Okay.
The worry is the new jobs might not appear fast enough or in enough volume, or maybe the required skills for new jobs will be too high, too different for the displaced workforce to adapt quickly.
And are we seeing concrete signs of this already, or is it still mostly theoretical?
No, he argues we're already seeing it. There's evidence of job displacement now. Think about copywriters. AI is churning out marketing content, emails, basic articles, even fiction sometimes. Call centers.
Yeah.
Increasingly being replaced by AI voices and chatbots that are getting pretty sophisticated.
Yeah, I've interacted with some of those.
And the layoff numbers he points to are quite stark. In 2025 alone, estimates suggest maybe 80,000 to 100,000 tech layoffs directly linked to AI replacing roles. And some estimates go much higher, maybe up to 500,000 U.S. job losses if you include contractors, overseas impacts, things like that.
Wow. Okay, so that's the immediate picture. But you mentioned earlier this isn't entirely new, and Shapiro grounds this in a much deeper history, right? Like 500 years of automation.
He does, yeah. He traces it way back to the printing press even.
The printing press. How does that connect?
Well, back then, it was seen as a huge threat to scribes, the people who copied texts by hand. But of course, it completely revolutionized how information spread, leading to massive societal changes. The point of looking at that long history isn't just trivia. It's to show automation as this continuously rising force.
Okay.
And crucially, to position AI not just as another tool, but as a general-purpose technology.
Like the wheel. Or electricity.
Or the internet. Exactly like those. Foundational technologies. Their uses just keep expanding, seeping into everything, often for decades after they first appear. So that historical view helps us understand these potentially massive economic shifts he talks about, like reaching automation saturation and intelligence abundance.
Right, you mentioned those terms. Can you flesh those out a bit more? Automation saturation and intelligence abundance. What do they really mean in this context?
Sure. Automation saturation. Think of it as the point where pretty much every task that can be automated is automated across almost all industries.
So not just single jobs, but entire workflows.
Exactly. Whole sectors reaching a state where human input for many tasks, even complex thinking tasks, becomes minimal, maybe even zero in some cases.
Okay. And intelligence abundance.
That follows from it. It means cognitive capacity itself, thinking power, problem solving stops being a limiting factor, a bottleneck. It becomes ubiquitous, cheap. Almost like computing power is today. If you need an answer, a design draft, a piece of code, the intelligence to generate it is instantly available at very low cost.
Which has profound implications for how we value human thinking, human labor.
Profound implications, yes. It really changes the economic equation for intellectual work.
And, as we try to sort of wrap our heads around these huge shifts, Shapiro also brings up something really relevant. Normalcy bias.
Ah, yes. The tendency to assume things will just keep going as they are now.
Exactly. It's that human thing, right? We assume the future will basically look like the present, maybe with a few tweaks, even when there's evidence of massive disruptive change happening right under our noses. It's like our brains just want to stick to the familiar pattern.
It's a powerful bias. And it raises a really important question, doesn't it? How do we even begin to recognize that bias in ourselves, let alone challenge it? Especially when the very foundations of our economy, our society, might be shifting.
Yeah, it's hard. It's genuinely difficult to picture a future that looks radically different from today.
But the data Shapiro presents on cognitive hyperabundance, on how pervasive AI is becoming, it suggests we have to try. We need to actively work against that bias.
Okay, so let's try and quickly recap the core ideas we've pulled out from this deep dive. We've talked about this accelerating, great decoupling productivity separating from wages.
Right, driven by AI and automation.
And the really unique thing this time is AI automating cognitive work, not just physical tasks, which challenges that historical creative destruction pattern where new jobs always seem to appear.
Yeah, the scale, the speed, the kind of automation, it feels different.
It really does.
And it's crucial, I think, to keep hold of that idea of AI as a general purpose technology, like the wheel, like electricity. Its impact will likely unfold over decades, pushing us towards what Shapiro calls automation saturation and intelligence abundance.
Where thinking itself becomes cheap and readily available.
Exactly. No longer the key bottleneck for getting things done.
Which loops us back to that normalcy bias we just touched on, that very human tendency to think tomorrow will be pretty much like today.
It's a mental shortcut that usually serves us well, but maybe not during these kinds of epochal shifts. It could leave us really unprepared.
So maybe a final thought for people to mull over.
Go for it.
Well, given everything we've discussed, this idea of cognitive hyperabundance, AI becoming so pervasive.
If labor, human work, loses a lot of its traditional role in the social contract, What skills do become most valuable for humans? What should we be cultivating?
That's a huge question.
It is, and maybe related. How can you personally start to notice and maybe push back against your own normalcy bias when you look at these accelerating changes? Definitely something worth thinking about long after you finish listening.